8:22, and it's time to welcome to the program once again regular guest, One Nation leader, Senator Pauline Hanson. Good morning.
Good morning, Leon.
I think this is the Queensland Hour. We just had Gary Hardgrave and now another Queenslander. We're here to solve the world's problems, all of us Queenslanders.
That's not a bad thing. We've got a lot of common sense up there, Leon, so okay, you're lucky to have us on.
The one thing that's got everybody talking at the moment is immigration, and we do seem to be facing a quandary here because we're relying on immigration to drive economic growth. And as Angus Taylor has pointed out, if you took immigration out of the mix, we'd actually be in deep recession. But at the same time, we've got this housing crisis and we've got the cost of living crisis and we've got all of these crises. And I guess the question people are asking is our immigration system actually working to help us or hurt us?
Oh, it's definitely hurting us. And I've been on about immigration since I first came into Parliament in 1996. Governments have used it as a Ponzi scheme to stop us from going in recessions and to prop up our economy. What I've said from the very beginning, we've lost industries and manufacturing, productivity. We don't have it. A lot of people now, we're bringing in the migrants to make the baristas. We're turning down beds. We're a tourist destination.
You heard Gary Hargrave talking about the barista.
Yes, I did, and I listened to his video. I love listening to Gary. And so anyway, it's true. And the fact is, 3%, I couldn't believe that 3% are actually got their tools to actually do some work here in Australia. So who are we bringing in? That's the whole problem. We don't need a Ponzi scheme. We don't need people to add to the ever-increasing queues waiting for hospital beds, for nursing homes, for schools. Our road infrastructure can't cope with it anymore. So the government uses it to stop us from going into a recession because these people coming in buying white goods. You got the Harvey Normans, you got it was the Business Council of Australia. All these people want high immigration because they're going to sell more product. It's not about the standard of living way of life for Australians out there, Leon.
You've unveiled a 5-point plan for dealing with immigration. Step 1 is hit the pause button while we sort things out. Step 2 is hold a plebiscite to ask the Australian people what they think. And Step 3 is stand up to the big corporations that you just alluded to a moment ago. Step 4, fix the housing shortage. We're going to need skilled tradies to do that, though, aren't we?
Leon, let me tell you that in an agreement that I had with the government that we did a pilot program. I've been screaming out about this for years and years, even before I was in Parliament, that we needed more tradies. Now, I had an agreement with them. They did a pilot program. They put up $60 million. We got 1,360 apprentices. That was taken up by employers throughout Australia and rural regional areas, which I stipulated, and that was taken up in 3 weeks. They were amazed. Then they put up another program, it wasn't long after that, in 2018, and they put out for 100,000 apprentices, which was taken up again in about 6 weeks. That was to start training the apprentices that we couldn't have. And the scheme was the government paid 75% of first year's wage, 25%, 50% of second, 25% of third year's wage. It was taken up by the tradies. I could see the writing on the wall. We wouldn't have the tradies now if I hadn't pushed for that scheme. I was up against the whole lot of them, the ministers, the prime ministers, Morrison and Turnbull, trying to get the scheme up, but I got it up. The problem is that we've been bringing in people in the country that are not up to the standards. I listen to the builders, and a lot of these people coming in aren't up to the standards. We've dropped our building standards in Australia, and that's a big problem that we have. Until we actually go back to encouraging people to do trades rather than into universities. Now the government's wanting, and the Greens and the Teal are wanting to actually give free education. You do that, they're dropping the standards to getting the education. We're going to end up with a bunch of people with their arts degree, no benefit to Australia whatsoever. We're not going to have the tradespeople. We're not doing industries manufacturing. We are in dire straits for future generation.
Journalism's an arts degree. I won't take it personally, though. Step 5 of your... And I didn't complete it anyway. Step 5 of your plan is, no surprise, vote out the major parties and vote for One Nation. But before we run out of time, I know you also want to talk about a new Senate inquiry into carbon capture involving the Great Artesian Basin. This sounds a little bit alarming on the face of it.
Well, it is. I'll just put people in the picture of how big the Artesian Basin is. It actually mainly is in Queensland. It covers Queensland, New South Wales, South Australia and Northern Territory. It covers an area of 1.7 million square kilometres, and if it was a country, it would be the 17th largest country in the world. That's how big it is. Glencore have put in, and the Labor Party are going to allow this, for them to put their waste from the Millbarron power station to convert it into supercritical waste to be pumped into the Artesian Basin. That is up to 330,000 tonnes of it. What I've actually put in, Ag Force is taking them to the courts over this. I put up a notice motion for a Senate inquiry into it, quite involved what we need to investigate, look at. That got up yesterday, 41 to 18. I took some of the Nats kicking and screaming because they weren't going to support it, but the Greens were wedged with it, so they supported it. So investigation and inquiry into it, because other applications being put in for the dumping to be done. What this government, over this CO2 scam, the cult that they're pushing about this climate change BS that we've got at the moment, we are actually going to destroy our environment, and they've passed a sea dumping bill, so they're putting this CO2 rubbish into our ocean beds. That was passed with the Liberal National Party as well, with Labor, which we opposed, but now they want to do it with the Great Artesian Basin. So we've got the inquiry going, and I'm getting professional people like Professor Ian Plimer to actually come and give evidence to this, and other professional people.
Well, we'll see how that unfolds. Pauline, thanks very much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's Senator Pauline Hanson, the leader of One Nation. 8:29 News is next.